I'm Julie Barkey with this Senate update. A bonding bill totaling $342 million will be taken up during this special legislative session. We caught up with the chair of the Senate Capital Investment Committee, LeRoy Stumpf, for his perspective on the bill and on this special session. So first of all, tell us how that number was reached and why move away from a smaller bonding bill, which is what was discussed earlier.
Well, actually it wasn't smaller.
100 million?
That's the House now, but the Senate came in with a much larger package. And so we kind of worked our way to the middle, and that's the process of negotiating, is to try to find some ground that usually is kind of in between the two different parties or the two different sides, and that's what we ended up doing. We found that there were limitations that we had to deal with, caps in the sense of how large and what was included. So it took quite a while to kind of work around some of those things, but I think we did a lot of good in the bill for the size of the bill. Now, obviously, I personally would have liked a much larger bill, and I'm going to hopefully tell the committees why.
Could you point out just a few of the larger provisions, MNSCU, the U, a few others that you really fought hard to keep in?
Well, yes. First of all, I think the large component in this proposal, it relates with disasters, flood-related disasters, disease-related disasters, past disasters that haven't been taken care of, such as occurred in Carver and the southwestern part of the metro area. And so that took up a fairly good-sized chunk of the proposal. And then we had to deal with things like good old capital. We still are funding that at a pretty, hopefully this will be the last round, but that took a sizable chunk or bite out of this too. So when you subtract those items out of the bill, there isn't a whole lot left.
A few of the things that are include the Children's Museum of Minnesota, Hennepin County Center for the Arts. Those are just a few projects. Earlier in last session, the House had zero appetite for a bonding bill at all. How did you manage to keep these projects in a bill?
Well, you'll notice in the back of the bill, there's a rather lengthy number of projects that actually we passed last year, but needed some corrections to the language this year. So, for example, the Lake Elmo water tower out there, the water project out there, we had the wrong address. Now, we feel we put the address that they gave us, but in order for the state of Minnesota and the bond councils to sell these bonds, they have to have everything just perfect. And so that, I think there's like 9 or 10 corrections in the back. It looks like it's new spending. It isn't really new spending, but it's fixing some of the mistakes that we made last year.
And of course, Senator, you need a supermajority to pass this when the special session is ultimately called. Are you confident you have that, and do you kind of see this special session as an opportunity to do over and improve upon what might have ended up being the final package had the House language been accepted?
Yes, I definitely think that this proposal that we put together is much better than the one that was crafted the last night of session. And I think that it gave us an opportunity to kind of spend more time working with each other, the House and the Senate, trying to understand not only the projects that are in here, but some of the future projects that we have to address. We had a lot of discussion around the whole area of housing, and that's very important for a lot of different communities around the state. And so even though we don't have a lot of resources in this bill for housing, we all realize that come next year we're going to have to make a much bigger attempt at that. And the other area that I hope to talk to the two committees is that you'll notice in this proposal we do not have, we have very few dollars for asset preservation and for taking care of our facilities for the higher education. And I think, I worry about it. If you talk to any agency or higher education institution, they'll all say that this is a dire need and one that we just weren't able to address.
So are you happy with this final number?
I'm not happy with this final number, but I'm happy with the product that we were able to put together within that number.